So talk about the concept of Earnicons. So when I heard about this term, so I was little okay. I understood. Okay, this has to do something with earnings, but there are so many corns now. So
correct.
there is
I know.
unicorn, decacorns,
I know.
and
एक मेरा favorite term है baby corn, छोटा सा.
which is valued at 1 billion but small.
Baby corn is a guy who hopefully wants to become a unicorn at some stage.
Okay.
छोटा. Early stage. Early stage. It's a joke. So boss, ऐसा है. You know, so for your viewers, I need to explain a bit of background. See, when the internet came in, and this was around the late 90s when it started getting used for business. And at that time, there is a very favorite phrase that a lot of people have used, and I've also put it into this book. Geography became history. Okay, it's a phenomenal way to put it, because basically what is happening earlier, your customers were nearby.
Yes.
Okay, local, maybe in the same colony, maybe in the same city. But now your customer could be, you could be based in Kashmir and your customer could be in Tamil Nadu or Kerala, right? Or even global. So the opportunity to grow suddenly became huge with the internet coming in. अब उससे क्या होता है? When you grow, obviously, number one, your fixed costs start getting spread.
Yes.
Right. B, you start building word of mouth. Right. And therefore, you become far more competitive than the smaller guy as you're growing. So, a stage comes where the big guys keep growing, they become market leaders, and the chotos, they die. Okay, and this is what started happening, and you've seen this in probably all the, and this is internet related. So all internet based businesses has been happening. You look at food delivery, Zomato, Swiggy, lots of people started off like Tiny Owl and Food Panda. They all died, right? Or they were bought out. And similarly, you look at e-commerce, again, there are only 4 players, but lots of people started off. Now, because of this, founders said, boss, we must grow. And investors also said, boss, yes, you must grow. Unfortunately, grow became growth at any cost, even at a loss. No problem. You're losing whatever, your losses are growing at 150% per year. कोई बात नहीं, growth है ना, revenue की 100% पैसा दे देंगे. No problem. Okay. So that is a problem. And you've seen that. I mean,
yes.
All of us have seen that. So unfortunately, it became growth at a loss, dominance at a loss. And many of these guys became unicorns, but they were still loss making. Right? And unfortunately, most unicorns have been loss making. In this environment, you have these few guys who say, no boss, hum dhanda karenge, we'll actually make a profit. Those are the ones I call Earnicons, because they say, we become unicorns, but we will also earn money. So unicorns that earn money, Earnicons. That was what I created. And there are these 4, but there are others also. So Naukri is there, Zerodha is there, Zoho and Dream11. There are a few others. For example, Physics Wala, very good example of an industry which is in the dumps, thanks to people like Byju's. This guy is doing phenomenally. He's a unicorn. He's profitable, right? And my guess is he is following principles which are very similar to what these 4 guys in this book have followed, right? So, Earnicons, and frankly, you know, I have said this earlier also, Kulmani, unicorn is a mythical concept. जानवर भी mythical है, company भी mythical है, because loss making है, right? But Earnicon is a real concept. जानवर ऐसा कोई नहीं है. I haven't seen any unicorn animals, but it's a real company because it is profitable, it grows. Yeah. Right? आप देखो, Dream11 का example लेता हूँ. Last year, there was a huge GST slap, which was given to these real money gaming guys. Huge slap. In spite of that, so their costs went up dramatically. In spite of that, these guys are profitable. That's an unicorn. Because you're running a real business, you're a unicorn, but you're also a unicorn.
And but if we think about some businesses, right, you cannot build them without being, let's say, you have to be loss making for a certain period of time.
Absolutely.
Let's say if you talk about deep tech or
Correct.
even in traditional sectors, let's say talk about pharma, right? There is that 10-year period with the drug cycle, etc.
Absolutely.
So should investors still back those businesses which are loss making in short term?
So I would say, okay, first of all, at an early stage, most investors are realistic. They realize you cannot be profitable, you have to invest. Whether it is in building a product, whether it is in setting up a plant, in case it is manufacturing, whether it is in spending a huge amount on marketing to build a brand. So initially you have to. But obviously, your gross margin has to be positive. So unit economics has to be positive, because otherwise, the more, I assume your viewers would understand gross margin, unit economics.
Yeah.
Okay. So otherwise, for example, if the gross margin for making for this glass, you sell it at 100 rupees and making and sales charges are 150, then you're losing 50 rupees. That means your gross margin is negative. Unit economics is negative. And the more glasses you sell, the more you lose.
Yeah.
So at an early stage, investors typically look at gross margins, not at overall profitability. Even after that, there are some kinds of businesses where either you have to build a product or you have to do a lot of marketing. For instance, typically in a B2C business, huge amount of marketing to be done. Right? You have to be loss making. Look at Make My Trip. They have been loss making for years, because in any case in the travel industry, margins are very thin and there's a lot of competition. But having done that, having gone through that stage, they have now become profitable, and they're very profitable now. Right? And the same thing is true of Zomato. They were loss making, they were building leadership positions. So I think founders have to realize, yes, there will be some time, whatever, 5 years, 6 years, 8 years, but you have to move towards profitability. That's your ultimate goal. Your ultimate goal is not raising more and more money at a higher and higher series and higher valuation. वो जो तमाशा था वो बंद हो गया. And therefore investors are very clear now, boss. We are looking for companies which are clear they are moving towards profitability. If today they are loss making, ठीक है, provided we can see a path towards profitability.
So that intent has to be seen.
Absolutely.
In
action. Exactly. अब जैसे frugal business है, if you're not running a frugal business, the investor is going to sit back and say, boss, there's something wrong here.
Define what frugal business means in 2024.
I don't think I can give you a definition, but I can give you examples. So, what Sanjeev always spoke about, simple offices. When you travel, why do you need to stay in 5-star hotels? Stay in 3-star hotel. Clean hona chahiye. Right? And for example, I was in NIT, we always stayed together. It was always double rooms. And I remember even our MD, our CEO, our other directors, they would share rooms. That's frugality. And therefore, NIT was profitable for almost right from the beginning. It was a very, very profitable company. So, it's basically that attitude. I'll give you one very simple, it's a very trivial example, but it just shows you the mindset of the founder. So we had invested in a company called Aha Taxis.
Okay.
Which is there in one of my books. I think in this one, Funding a Startup.
Okay.
Now these guys, I had to go and meet them because I keep meeting my investee companies. So I reached the building he had told me. He said, 4th floor पे आ जाओ, नोएडा में था. And I reached there and I said, यार मैंने तो तेरा बोर्ड ही नहीं देखा कोई, कहाँ है? I called him. He says, नहीं sir, आप you come to the end of the corridor and the third last door on the left is ours. And then fortunately he came out. So when he came out, I saw him and I went there. I said, ये तूने बोर्ड क्यों नहीं लगाया? उसका जवाब देखो. He says, देखो यहाँ कौन आएगा? कस्टमर मेरा कोई आएगा नहीं. These are basically like your Uber, Ola, but intercity. मेरा कस्टमर कोई नहीं आएगा. कौन आएगा मेरे पास? ड्राइवर, टैक्सी ड्राइवर. उसको पता है. He doesn't need a board. मेरा क्लाइंट जो टैक्सी हायर करता है, पैसेंजर, वो कभी नहीं आएगा. Why should I waste money? No, it's such a simple thing. Board would have cost him what? 400, 500 rupees. But attitude देखो. बॉस मैंने unnecessary पैसा नहीं spend करना है. I think that is the attitude way. And I was very, very impressed. मैंने बल्कि इसके बारे में कहीं लिखा है. I forget where, but